Hey YouTubers, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I guess it's somewhat of a Dragon Ball discussion, but MJ and I, MJ, why don't you say hello?
Hello, people of Real to Real Productions channel. I am MJ from GeekListTV. How are you doing?
Okay, dude, I am so freaking excited and pumped and all this other stuff. So, right now, spoiler territory if you haven't watched episode 100 yet. It did come out yesterday, and guys, I just watched it. And I'm still reeling from that episode. I am shaking from how epic it was. Okay, just gotta put it into perspective. I have been although I really enjoyed this entire arc so far of Dragon Ball Super, the Tournament of Power, the Universe Survival arc, all the build-up, in my opinion, was just excellent. And it was entertaining, even though it was going on for like 3 months. It was still very much entertaining. And then we got into the fights, and I was like, you know what? I just kind of think that this could be better. I mean, there's nothing huge going on. There's nothing really hitting us in a way where it's like, oh my god, this happened, and oh my god, this happened. But this episode, guys, and they saved the best for such a milestone episode. Back in the day, a lot of you guys probably have been following this show until like before it even began. And remember back in the day where like, oh, 100 episodes confirmed, and then like everyone came out and was like, no way, there's 100 episodes happening. We don't know that yet. Guys, we're at 100 episodes, and I swear to God, in terms of like absolute marking out excitement, this is epic. This is exactly what I want from Dragon Ball Super. This was that episode, and I gotta say, I'm stoked. Even though, and we have to be fair, even though a lot of it was just kind of riffing on the Broly movies, let's be honest. As much as those movies aren't necessarily the best, the original Broly movie was epic in the fights, and this episode took the best parts of those movies and made it into like a canonized fight with everything going around it. You have Hit using his Tokodabashi move. You have Kale wanting to get Super Saiyan 3 and marking out about Super Saiyan Blue. Oh no, that's Caulifla. You have Kale using the Berserker form, and Vegeta's like, man, maybe that is like the true Saiyan form. Dude, guys, there's so much epic shit going on in this episode. So that's just me. Like, that's my opening statement. MJ, what are your thoughts, man? What were your thoughts? Was this like underwhelming for you or anything else? Do you like it? What?
Well, I mean, they definitely did combine movie 8 and movie 10 of the Broly, I guess, trilogy, because people forget in movie 8, Broly did speak. He wasn't just Kakarot the whole entire time. He had a lot of cool one-liners, so they definitely combined a lot of what we saw Broly do in movie 8 with kind of like what Broly's mentality was by movie 10, which was just Kakarot, you know. So, but instead they replaced it with Son Goku, where she constantly repeated the name Son Goku. I thought that was cool. They definitely really did pay homage to those films. I'm surprised they didn't have like a slime thing pop up and try to take her over Broly and pay homage to Bio. But anyways,
the tournament's not done yet. The tournament's not done yet, man.
We could definitely see some green slime character try to anyways, I just want to say the one thing I did love about this episode was, at one point or another in this episode, almost each character that got screen time had one badass / epic line or moment. And I'll break them down. So we see Hit's beating up, I believe his name is Narirama. I could be wrong. He's the robot from Universe 3. And Hit's like, you have two options. Get knocked out, run off the stage, or get knocked out by me. I thought that was badass. And then you have Kaba, who's walking through the smoke, right? Boom, boom. And these two guys try to jump him, and he takes him out quick, and he's like, Master, it's your turn to drop out. And I'm like, bro, everyone has such like an epic line. Oh, and let's not forget Caulifla, bro. She's like, hey, you, teach me blue. That way when I learn it, I can beat you with it. I was like, bro. Everybody was just dropping epic lines today, dude. I just loved whoever wrote this episode. I remember seeing this a while back. People like the animation guys. I don't mean to say that to be disrespectful. I mean the people who follow the animation and the backstage stuff of Dragon Ball as a whole and Toei as a whole. People were saying that this episode had a good supervisor, a good storyboard, a good director, a good writer. It had almost like a good everything. And people were saying that episode 100 was gonna be the best, or at least this is where the tournament's gonna pop off, and we definitely saw that. I loved the writing in it. I'm not talking about the power scaling. I'm just talking about the writing. People don't jump at me, guys. Don't eat me. Don't eat me up, bro. That sounded weird. Don't Don't eat me out. Anyways, the writing was good. What I mean by that is I liked a lot of the lines that were used. They kept a lot of stuff cool. I liked the direction. You remember that scene where it shows like Kel looking at Goku and Khalifa, and like it zooms in on her face, and it's like her face turns purple, and it's just like a shadow of Goku, like a silhouette of them. That was such a cool scene. Whoever directed this stuff, very well put together episode. I just liked so much stuff about it. But yeah, the one-liners had to have been. It was like whoever wrote this just got done watching like all of Arnold Schwarzenegger's movies. It was like wanting to put together some of the best shit they could, and it pretty much delivered, at least in my eyes, in my opinion.
I agree, and just kind of jump off what you were saying about epic moments and just epic one-liners. Let's not forget, I honestly, I absolutely loved Master Roshi's role, even though it was very small in this episode, where he's just like, how do we take this? Are we one man down, or do we have 9 left to fight? It's like, yeah. Oh, that's like a glass half full type of mentality, and I love it that they're just sitting there, you know, Tenshinhan, Master Roshi, Piccolo, and Gohan are literally just sitting on the edge going, or I think they're right next to the time clock. They're trying to keep in the middle. They're not really like hampering themselves down either which way, but it's like, how do we look at this? And they're sitting there just evaluating all this stuff as it's going on, as 18 and 17 are basically running around, and as they're fighting and not getting their guard down and just kind of going about their business and their like individual fighting, they're also like just they're just degrading on Quill, like they're throwing insults at Krillin, and he's just like, I'm sorry, it's okay, I'm sorry. Like, it's like, you let your guard down, like you think about all the money you spend on training equipment and stuff, like blah blah blah. Oh my god, that just made me laugh so hard. It's like, that's exactly what 18 would be doing in that situation.
Definitely, man. That's definitely in her character. And again, to continue on the epic one-liners, Jiren. I mean, this dude. Okay, the last time we heard him speak, he was like, "Get lost," right? Mm-hmm. This time, he's on the top of that fucking debris or whatever it is, right? And he's just like, I'll take this. Jumps down, throws this bitch up into the air, blows up, and he's like, it's over. That was so badass, dude.
It was so epic. And also, like, I think this puts to bed everyone who was saying that Hit could not use his Tokudobashi in the World of Void. Obviously, we got to see it. Some really badass epic moments in this. My one thing, like, okay, I love the Hit stuff. I love the Tokudobashi. I love the fact that he can use it to basically save his teammates, and he is using it to save his teammates. I love the fact, although they didn't take your advice, if they do watch this stuff, they probably don't, but they didn't take your advice on giving Magetta some headphones, but I don't know if those would be considered weapons. But the whole Magetta Botamo partnership is just hilarious, and I don't know how Vegeta's gonna get over that, although I guess now he doesn't have to worry about it because obviously Kaba has a bone to pick.
Like, yeah, like I never really cared too much about that, because like, remember in the very first episode of the tournament, it was 97. Remember when Goku's trying to fight Toppo and like someone just cock blocks him? So there's just so many fighters. I always just figured that someone would jump in and like take on Magetta and Botamo, or vice versa with Vegeta. Someone would just cock block their fight, and that's how it would get interrupted. But what was funny to me was when Kel was letting out all that energy and all those ki blasts. It goes back to Botamo Magetta, and Botamo has not left Magetta's shoulders, and Magetta's like chapeau, trying to run.
Yeah, he's like, run, oh my god. Like,
and you would just think it'd be easier if he just got off. Magetta had to carry his fat ass.
No, dude, those guys are tanks. Like, honestly, that's a really smart get-up, and it's really funny, although it does make me wonder who or how they're going to be beaten. But with someone like Jiren or Goku or even Vegeta, I mean, like, if they really tried, Vegeta's not trying. Like, he wasn't trying to actually take them out. He's only in Super Saiyan 1. But the one thing I have to say, and this goes back, and I know a lot of people are going to start harking on the theory about the Yardrat. I hated that. Like, it was a fun little scene, and I understand why they put it in there, but I'm just kind of confused. I am honestly, as a fan of Dragon Ball Super, and someone who tries to make sense of the entirety of the series based on all the inaccurate or inconsistent information they give us, the whole Yardrat thing that you and I discussed and theorized about in past videos was a way of explaining how that makes sense. That he is in Universe 2 when theoretically he really shouldn't be. And they even pointed that out as if it was some kind of big thing. And now he's off the stage. Although a lot of people did say he's off the stage, but we see him disappear. We don't necessarily see him actually get off the stage. She just hits him when he's off guard about to hit Goku, and then you see him disappear. But this is a guy who had, before that moment, had literally been disappearing in and out of reality with his instantaneous movement, so you don't necessarily know.
Yeah, people were saying that maybe he teleported back, and that goes kind of with what me and you talked about, that this guy may have a more advanced version or something where maybe not only can he like detect ki or something, that maybe all he has to do is just visualize, you know what I mean? Kind of like a mixture of both the teleportation and the Kai. Mm-hmm. So he can just, like, if he just teleports himself back, or he detects someone's ki or whatever, he was just able to teleport back. Because remember, it didn't show Zeno marking him off the tablet. So
and we got to see almost everyone that he marked off the tablet, yes. At least a couple of them, because we got to see the guy from Universe 3, the really weird looking guy. We also got to see, even though it was just a punch from Kale, and you didn't get to see how it actually ended, you got to see him take off the Pride Trooper and the other guy. So there was a couple that we didn't get to see.
I also want to say this. This is what I meant by this episode having good writing, because I know people are been in an uproar over the power scaling and Blue getting nerfed and so I'm not necessarily talking about the power scaling, guys, when I say good writing. What I mean by good writing is, these are some examples. Obviously, Khalifa is a Saiyan, so she's going to want to reach new heights. There's nothing wrong with that. But then, instead of Goku straight up trying to teach her how to use Blue, he looks at her and says, I don't think you're ready for it yet. You know what I mean? So, indicating and implying that, yeah, he does see potential in her, but she's not ready for it yet. Kind of shutting down all the bad stuff that, that people were expecting to see from Khalifa, like learning Blue, ass pull, and all that. Then, remember in the beginning where we see, I forget his name, but he was a boxer, how he was literally beating the shit out of Kel. What happened towards the end of the episode, one of those ki blasts is zoomed in on him and knocked him off the stage. To me, that's like stuff that comes full circle. That's why I said the writing in this episode overall I felt was really well done. You know what I mean? Like, the people who did the bad stuff, they paid for it towards the end. And then we actually got to see some Pride Troopers take care of stuff. We got all those epic one-liners. Other really than maybe the Yardrat thing, I think everything was pretty much fine with me. I pretty much liked all of it, you know what I mean? But that's just me. I'm more of a fan of Super than most people, so that's just...
Well, obviously, I mean, we talk about it every single day without fail. The thing is, and that's true, you just have to kind of take our opinions with a grain of salt. Obviously, if you're listening to this and you've gotten this far, you too also enjoy Dragon Ball Super, or you just want to watch it and hate on it, which is totally fine. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing, but... because I definitely do the same thing with some other things. But just in general, the one thing I have to say about this Tournament of Power, and we just knew this isn't even a criticism, because we knew that this was going to be the reality that we were facing before this even got started with the Battle Royale, was we have 80 fighters, and 80 fighters are going to be utilized in one way or another, right? They're going to not all have a significant moment, and some of them are just going to be cannon fodder. And I have to admit, I'm fine with that. But as of this moment, I feel like there have been some people who've been knocked off the stage that I just wish hadn't been. Because their designs were cool looking, or I thought we might be seeing something a little bit more from them or something. But they just get completely taken off. I mean, the sumo guy, a lot of people were focusing on the sumo guy. He's out, but who cares? That guy, I mean, who knows whether or not he was ever going to be... I never really thought he was going to be someone really important. My biggest thing out of this episode, though, and it will usually be from most episodes, I'm sure somebody will get knocked out. I'm like, oh man, that guy looked cool. I wish we would be able to see him. But the guy from Universe 3... that Kaba basically just destroyed, like, without even trying. I was actually a little upset that they knocked him out. I was kind of hoping that there would be something more about him or some kind of issue that or some way that he would actually be able to be useful for his particular team. But as we know, Universe 3 is probably not going to be very significant when it comes to Universe 11, Universe 6,
and it's sad
4,
because
and 2.
And I was sad because I was hoping they would be, because when we're introduced to him, I'm so bad. I'm sorry, guys. I really am bad with the names, so forgive me on that, please. I'm bad with all the gods' names, but the Kaioshin of Universe 3 mentions that he's their greatest creation or something like that, and then he kind of hyped up, or he enhanced all these fighters specifically for the Tournament of Power. So I thought he was going to be like a Jiro character, a Dr. Gero character, right? So I was kind of hoping for him to be in it in the long run, but you know, he got taken out really quick. So again, like I mentioned, the Yardrat thing was one of the only things that really bothered me. This, even though it sort of bothered me, it didn't really take me out of the episode. You know what I mean? It didn't really make me scratch my head. I did kind of go, really? Him? But, you know, it could have been any of the other fighters from, like, Universe, 10 or something. You know, I didn't think, why did it have to be him? You know what I mean? Like, especially just the way they hyped him up, he was the one who put together all these other robots or cyborgs or whatever they are for this tournament. He was supposedly called their greatest creation, or at least like their greatest enhanced warrior. So it was kind of like fucked up that Kaba took him out without even having to use Super Saiyan on him.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me, though. That's just me.
No, I completely agree, and that's just something. But we all knew that we were going to have cannon fodder, and at the same time, like, we knew Universe 10 and Universe 9 and Universe 3 were probably the most likely after we got to see all the teams, considering the fact that Universe 4 and Universe 2 have people we haven't really even seen yet, and they were keeping them secret. We always knew Universe 6 was going to be somewhat significant. I wasn't necessarily expecting those people to actually be insignificant or at least hidden from us, but they are. And then at the same time, we always knew that Universe 11 was going to be important. Universe 7 is definitely going to be important. So those, I think it's like 5 universes, or at least, yeah, 5 universes were always going to be the most important. The other 3 weren't necessarily going to be as important, and there are just ways that we can just kind of keep the story going a little bit longer and building up these characters as they fight. Something that I really liked about this episode too, the last thing I think, is the Goku and Caulifla fight. And I will link in the description section below the video you and I did about the importance of that fight. And honestly, I think you and I, as we did that video, I think we're right. Like, Goku actually felt really impressed by Caulifla's power. He knew that she can get stronger and much more quickly, but he's even sitting there giving her tips about, you can do this. I'm sure, like, and even in this fight, you can actually achieve this form, but I'm telling you not to. Like, you need to actually perfect Super Saiyan 2 before you perfect Super Saiyan 3 or even get Super Saiyan 3, so let's work on that. Let's fight and have fun. That, going into the ending of Dragon Ball Z with Oob, Pan, and Goten, and everyone else that he might be training at that point that we don't know about, really does a lot to help kind of create Goku's character going forward, make him more mature, and put him in the position he needs to be as we get to the end of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, he really did train her. Like, I put out like a Marvel reference because she's like, "Hey, old man, son Goku," and it made me think of old man Logan. But anyways, after they started off with disrespect because like Goku was like, "Who are you?" And then she was like, "Old man Goku," right? So they were like disrespecting each other at the beginning, but you can tell, once Goku saw her transform into a Super Saiyan Grade 3, you can tell he saw prominence in her, you know what I mean? Because he saw that she was able to achieve this form, and he is sticking in his head most likely quickly because, remember, Kaba just recently learned Super Saiyan in the last tournament, Kaba was saying he was like the first, so Goku's probably thinking in his head, she must have learned this pretty quickly, so he's like, okay, and then he's actually training her using like, you sacrifice speed for power, I don't recommend that transformation, here, use this one, you know what I mean? He went to, and then she's like, oh, I've done that before, let me see if I can try and do it again, so she tries to do it, she does it, and then when they're fighting, there's that scene where, Kel wants to intervene, and she's like, I'll aid you, and then he's like, hey, don't bother us. So it's like, because in Goku's mind, yeah, they were fighting, but it wasn't really a fight to eliminate one another. I think they were just really testing each other, and he was sparring with her, and he was seeing how far she could go. So it really did turn into a training session,
Mm-hmm. And I think that was it. Not only is it I guess, important for the episodes as a whole. It did play a major role in how the episode plays out, but it goes back to what you're saying about good writing, is it was a character building episode. Even if you didn't necessarily pick up on it or interpret it that way, it really was for Goku, based on where we know he has to go by the end of not only this arc, but also as we get closer and closer to Dragon Ball Z. And I just think that that's why this episode, in my opinion, just like right now, like I said, I don't usually do reviews or anything. This isn't necessarily a review, it's just a discussion on how awesome episode 100 was. But they really brought their A game, and I would be very shocked if most people don't agree with me that this might potentially even be the best episode of Dragon Ball Super we've ever gotten. And 100 episodes into a series, getting the best thing that we could possibly get from the series at this point, I'm shocked. And I'm so happy that Dragon Ball Super's on. This Tournament of Power has been amazing, and I can't wait to see it go forward.
Same here, man. Same here.
Anyway, guys, we're going to actually leave it at that. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Please make sure to go down to the comment section below and share your opinions on episode 100 in the future and past of Dragon Ball Super. But with that being said, please make sure to also go down to the description section below, hit that link, and go make sure to check out MJ's channel if you haven't already. The guy makes some really awesome content for you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and also hit that bell over by the subscriber button to get notifications for every single time I upload. But with that being said, guys, we're going to call it a day. I hope everyone has a good day. It's been real.